Today is day 248. Top of mind is not an opinion. So I think we should be generally careful of saying that the first thing comes to our mind and then calling it an opinion or even a recommendation. One of these top of mind thoughts always seems to start with, you should. Pretend you walk into your new job at a fast food franchise. On day one, your manager asks you to clean out some recently clean trash cans with an ounce of bleach and a gallon of hot water. A thought comes to your mind that ammonia might be better than bleach. So you reply to the manager and say, you should really use ammonia and not bleach. I think you can understand how this will be received. Not well. A manager is not going to take too kindly to a brand new employee telling everyone how to do the job better. Rather, they are going to be more impressed with their ability to respond quickly to instructions and follow through. The manager will probably say something to the effect, listen, just go clean those trash cans. You might say, wow, all I was saying was my opinion. Fine, I'll just use the bleach. This is a silly example. But voicing your thought that ammonia might be better than bleach is not an opinion. It is the first thing that comes to mind. Maybe you had heard somewhere that bleach is bad and ammonia is better. So the first thing you thought of was ammonia. So you actually think that this is adding value to the conversation and the relationship. We actually think people want to hear that type of an opinion. Saying the first thing that comes to your mind never constitutes an opinion. In this silly example, we can clearly see that the manager of the fast food franchise did not hire you to provide unsolicited, qualified, top-of-mind statements masquerading as opinion. This is really obvious when looking at it this way, but not so obvious when looking at it in everything else we do in life. Yet this happens all the time. I do it. I hear many other people do it. And I'm sure if you're listening to this, you're probably realizing that you do it sometimes as well. We say the first thing that comes to mind and immediately offer up that as a recommendation, advice, or even as a qualified opinion. This morning, I overheard two women talking in a courtyard of this office building. One lady was talking and explaining to the other an issue she was having with her child. The other women listened for a few seconds and then interrupted with some advice. You should get her seen by someone. That doesn't sound. I didn't really think about this, but then I was sitting and reflecting later about what that lady said. And I realized, wow, these two people just met each other while waiting for an appointment to see an eye doctor. And already one of the women is trading advice on what to do about the other's misbehaving children, and has even gone so far as to recommend psychological treatment for the child. I could tell the other woman was very uncomfortable with this proposition because the conversation quickly diverted to less serious topics. What happened here is something that happens all the time in everyday conversation. We offer up the first thing that comes to mind as a stated opinion, as a fact, or even as advice without really any serious consideration. Usually there is no harm and no foul. I wonder how often we miss the mark and do not realize just how inconsiderate that might actually be. I sat in a conference room once with this executive who had owned and ran this business that eventually became a major enterprise. This was a highly successful company. Some eager people who got to meet this person for the first time took this opportunity to start spouting off various opinions and advice about how the company should be run. This man was very polite, but you could sense the underlying anger brewing behind his kind demeanor. Here he had spent decades going through the tough parts, the bad days, the near disasters, the lawsuits, the failed projects, the times when you could barely make payroll. And finally, after 30 or so years, he was in a position where he could turn the business over to others. And now here were these well-meaning people sitting in the conference room that was built in his honor, offering their opinion on how things should be. Perhaps before we spout off an opinion, we should take some consideration first. How do we know that we are correct? Do we have any evidence? Just because we have an idea pop into our head doesn't make it a sound, well-proven concept. What is our experience trying this sort of idea out? Where has it succeeded and where has it failed? If we have no experience by which to vouch for an opinion, then maybe it is just best to keep our mouths shut and listen for a while.